hello everyone. This is Fernanda Bulhões, and I'm here one more Sunday to bring you the best of our Facebook interviewing inspiring people series. So today we are here to talk to Dr. Diana Yu. We're gonna be listening to this amazing, inspiring person who has shown to us to to be an amazing inspiration. She, besides being a doctor, she's also a Zumba instructor. But I'm gonna leave her to tell you everything from the beginning, from since she started. Hi, Rania from Syria. Welcome. Ahlan wasala. Yeah. Salam alaikum. So let's wait until Dr. Diana comes, and she's gonna be talking to us. It's gonna be an amazing interview. I'm sure it will. So let's wait until she comes and join us. Let me just see. She's not here yet. Hola, hermanita Josie. Welcome. So let's wait until Diana comes and talk to us. We were just talking on WhatsApp now. She was getting ready to be on camera. So let's wait until she shows up. But this, I've spoken to a couple of friends of mine that I always wanted to make interviews, and what could I talk about it, right? And then we noticed that our getting togethers every Friday was always inspiring. There was always stories that somebody had, gone through, and it was always inspiring to us, right? So I said, you know what? I'm gonna start interviewing those people because I'm sure everybody has a story. Everybody has something to share. Everybody has something to show it to us because, it doesn't matter where you live. There is always something that happened to you and happened to me too, but we deal different with situations. So just let's wait until she comes, and then we can start talking to her. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We are all looking forward to talk to Dr. Diana Yu, and let's just wait. Let me just send her the link of our interview so she can join us. Let me just share it over here. Let's see. Let me hear. Oh, I'm here. She says she's here. But hi, Diana. But let me see if I. Okay. Good. I just added you.
There you go.
Hello. No, it's upside down.
It's upside down. So I want to do it this way?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm sorry.
Good.
I've been watching you. I didn't know how to join it.
Yeah, but I finally found you on the list, and then it worked.
Ah, that's how it works, huh?
Yeah. So how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I was trying to use a tripod so I don't have to hold because it keeps bouncing around.
Okay.
So hopefully you
Did you
don't
put
get.
Did you put it on the tripod or no?
I was trying.
See
Okay.
if you can do it. We are here for you.
Okay, let me see. Hang on. I was trying, but it was sideways. So I think we'll just go like this.
Okay. Very good. So thank you so much for accepting my invitation
Uh-huh.
to interview. Do you have like the earphone, because we are having like a return sound?
I don't use earphones.
Oh, it's okay. That's okay. Perfect. So, what I wanted to start with, I want you to tell us about a little bit about yourself.
Uh, about myself, I'm a
Yes,
crazy
a little
lady.
bit. You're a crazy lady, about your background. Where are you from?
I was born and raised in the Philippines, and I came to the U.S. when I was 19, and I've been here ever since, and that's been a long time.
It has been a
47.
quite some time.
Yeah, I have to think about
Okay, so when growing up, what were your biggest dreams?
it. You know, I don't really know that I had any particular dreams. My sister was sick a lot when we were younger, and so she spent a lot of time in the hospital. And so my family kept saying, "Oh, you want to be a nurse?" I said, "No, I want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a nurse." So, but you know, what, 60 years ago, there were not a lot of, female doctors. Our family doctor was a woman. And so
Nice.
I had that in our family dentist. So it was good. Um, um, let me see. Is there a way I can turn off the echo?
Yeah, I don't know, because you can hear the echo too, right?
Yeah, it's hard to talk about it because then I
I
can't.
I think maybe because you're holding the phone. I don't know. Try to put it on like close to something.
Well, I can't do it because hang on. Does it work better?
I think so. Yeah, but I still have the echo.
Yeah,
Could
I never learned how to use earphones. I have earphones, I think.
let's see if it works. So, guys, we're here with Dr. Diana Yu. She has a lot to talk about it. She just went to pick up her earphones to see if the sound gets better.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, much better now.
All right. Is that
Oh,
better?
that's a different, much better now. So let's start all over
Oh
again.
my gosh.
Oh, good.
So
So
I
you're
never
you're
use
saying
earphones.
you never. That's the best thing. So you're saying that you were born and raised in the Philippines, right? And then you came to the U.S. You can hear me?
Uh, I can
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but there's also the echo.
Oh, but not for me. And now it's perfect for me.
Okay, that's fine then. I can hear you. I
Okay, so let's see if it gets better. So you're saying that your sister used to get sick a lot, and then maybe you said, okay, let's become a nurse, but you says, no, I don't want to be a nurse. I want to be a doctor.
Yeah.
So how did this happen in your life, like exactly?
Well, it was more of a uh, yeah, I want to be a doctor. So I I went I tried very hard in school and worked really, really hard um, to get better. And so I went when I finally went to college. I went and did pre-med, um, but in 1972 there was martial law in the Philippines, and I had to stop going to school because they closed all the schools. And that was actually the reason why I came to the US, because I didn't want to keep missing school. And I was a student at the University of the Philippines, and I could not attend school. So I came, and then I just never left, because a few years later, my parents decided to immigrate to the United States. And then unfortunately, my father passed away. And that was when I found out that my father had always dreamed of becoming a doctor, because he had a cousin that was a doctor in Virginia. But my grandfather wouldn't let him finish school. So he ended up doing business. He was a very successful businessman. When I was born, at the time I was born, we were living in I would say very, very low middle class, not completely in poverty in the slums, but very low middle class. We were in apartments, and there were three kids. Life was hard. My mother worked as a seamstress. She actually made bridal gowns, which is great. And unfortunately, she never taught me how to sew. But she made my wedding dress when I got married. Yeah, which
Nice.
is really special. I still have it. Um, but from then, my father went to work for this company and started out as a messenger boy. He was very smart and worked very hard. And before long, he was working in the office. In the end, at the time he retired, and he was only 45, to move to the U.S. And so at the time he retired, he was vice president of the company. So
Wow.
we literally went from almost rags to riches. So at the time, I was in my teens, we were pretty well off. Um, then came to the U.S., and then my parents came after. Unfortunately, my father passed away the next year. Um, and at that time, it kind of solidified, yeah, I really want to be a doctor. And so that was always my goal. And but I was not accepted to medical school. So I tried for 4 years. Um, so it does take a while sometimes. And in the meantime, I went to graduate school and did work in public health, took my public health work, and um, and I fell in love with public health. But then finally, I was admitted to medical school, and I went and did that, and I continued to do medicine, and then residency after that, and I did my training in pediatrics. Well, I started out in family practice and then switched to pediatrics. But then as I started, when I finished and I came back, um, at the time I started working as a pediatrician in Seattle, but in the health department. So I got exposed again to public health, and I just loved it. So when I moved down to Olympia, which is where I live now, I decided, I think I'm just going to go into public health. So I did. And yeah,
So the transition between coming from the Philippines at 19, you were in college over there.
yeah.
So what do you think it happened that it took you 4 years to get into school? Do you think it was because of the transition?
No, well, when I first applied to go to medical school, um, I was an immigrant. So I um, I was not an immigrant. I was applying for my immigrant status. So because I came to the U.S. as a student, and then my parents came, and they were immigrants. So they applied for me to be an immigrant, but it was still processing. So I was not an immigrant yet. So the first three times I applied as a foreign student and was not accepted. The fourth time I applied, I had just gotten my green card. So nothing changed. My grades were all the same. I had only taken the medical college admission test one time, and it was, pretty good. It wasn't the best, but it was pretty good. Um, and actually, the fourth time I applied, by then my mother had settled in Washington State, and I only applied to one school, University of Washington, and and I applied to the University of Washington for 4 years. But that last time I only applied one. I said, "This is my last try. If this doesn't work, I'll go back to the Philippines and do medical school there." And I got in. They probably didn't want me to go back.
It was like it was meant to be.
Yeah, it was yeah, and I'm glad because the Washington State, Seattle was a really good place for me. And I really enjoyed living out here in the Pacific Northwest. And even if I had gone back to the Philippines to do medical school, I probably would have ended up coming back here. Because by then I was pretty set. Well, you know, it's hard, And then I got married and settled down. So yeah.
So you were telling us that your dad started at the company as as office helper. What were the biggest challenges that you guys had as a family growing up?
Oh, well, financial, definitely. My mother had to work. I mean, she had to sew. So she was working from home. But I remember the stories. I don't remember this exactly, but she used to tell me that when I was little and just a toddler, just starting to learn to walk, she couldn't take care of me because she was sewing. So she used a piece of cloth and tied my legs to the sewing machine so I wouldn't wander too far and get hurt. So, and by then I had two older siblings, and we were like boop, boop, boop. My older brother is like 2.5 years older than me. My sister is 14 months older. And we had one, we called them Yaya or a nanny, kind of like a nanny, but an all around maid. So my mother had one helper in the house. And so she watched the other two. And I was by my mom, and but not going very far. But I also remember when we were growing up, we lived in this apartment. It's called Magdalena, and for people who are know the Philippines, it's not very well to do, but it's little apartments, and we didn't have a television, right? But our neighbors did. So I remembered when we were little and we would come home, my mom would know exactly what we were doing because we all had little brown noses with little squares on it because we were watching our neighbor's television through their screen door. So we
Oh
were
my
like,
God.
yeah, we all came home with little squares on our nose, and she knew exactly where we were. Uh, but there was one incident when we were living on Magdalena that I recall. So when you are not very well off, and we were pretty well behaved, and this was before I started school, because I remembered there's like a banqueta, we call it. It's like a sidewalk that's high.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to sit there. In those days, people didn't kidnap poor kids, right? So I was sitting there and just watching the street. And one day I saw a young girl. She must have been about, I want to say 11 or 12, crossing the street, and she got run over. And that was very traumatic for me growing up, seeing, I still remember she had a bottle of orange soda and ice in, in the Philippines, when you go to the store, they give you stuff and they wrap it in newspaper. So she had ice and newspaper and a bottle of orange soda. And that picture still was very vivid. Um, and, uh, and even growing up in high school, by that time we were more well off. We could afford a lot of stuff. And I remembered I was very active in the school, and we went to do volunteer work. So I always ended up volunteering for like the orphanage or the hospital, just doing little things. At the orphanage, it was carrying babies. I remembered seeing a baby that had no skull, and my job was to make a little hat for the baby. So I got really good at folding hats out of paper. So we would cover. I don't think the baby survived very long, but I don't remember. I just remember making hats for the little baby. I don't even remember it was a boy or girl. But those kind of experiences really kind of solidified, I want to help. I want to be able to take care of people. I want to be able to do something that makes a difference. So, and that's, you know, that's where I am. Now
Very.
I'm all I do is dance.
That's good. That's good. But then when you applied for the visa to the US as a student, and then you started getting into the American lifestyle and everything, was this so different? Did you have any challenges as trying to, merge into it?
No, not really. I think by then I had been here for a couple of years. Um, I had to kind of think of myself as an immigrant instead of a student who was here temporarily. And because my father had passed away, my mom had decided to move to the U.S. permanently. And so there was that. Um, so for the longest time, my younger brother was also here in the U.S. And so we kind of established our family over here. And in a way, my dad passed away suddenly. And when something like that happens, it affects you, but you also don't think about it because it feels like, oh, he's just over in the Philippines. He's not dead. He's just over there. Um, and we're over here. But then every once in a while it'll hit you. Oh, he's not there anymore. Yeah. So I was more comfortable in the U.S. Um, I was more comfortable with the notion of human rights, of justice and equality, and things like that, equity. These weren't words that I used, but these were thoughts and feelings that I had because in the Philippines when I was growing up, there were always maids, chauffeurs, drivers, houseboys, help, sugarcane workers, people who were not treated justly. I remembered one time I was still in high school, and so I did a lot of social action. So I went with a group of friends, and we went to do a protest about the working conditions of sugarcane workers. So my father worked for a sugar trading company, and they were pretty prominent. So the group had actually chosen to picket my father's company, and I didn't know that that's where we were going. But he was also the spokesman for the company. So when we were there, he came out, and we had a very decent conversation. Uh, but it's like, they were merchant middlemen. They would buy from the sugar manufacturers, and then they sell the sugar. So they were like the in between. So here, if you do that, you know how people say they don't pay just wages, don't buy their stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? In At that time, they didn't really, make those kind of promises. They basically just said, we really don't have control over what the farmers do, the sugarcane producers do. But yes, we will ask them to treat their sugarcane workers better. So yeah, so that was kind of so it was more comfortable being in the U.S. because then we didn't see at the time. I was very I had blinders on.
Blindfolded.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I didn't think there was as much injustice, and I think of it now, and there was just a different kind. You still have a lot of inequities here, a lot of poor working conditions. There's a lot of, social injustice. But here you can do something about it. You can do boycotts. You can encourage others. You can talk, or you can work and show by example, or you can do what you can to change people's living conditions, and that is part of the attraction of public health, because public health is not just all about health. It's not just all about your body, but it's all about everything that you need to maintain good health. So that includes social, being able to find a livable wage, being able to be housed, having clothing, having adequate food, having education. Those are all parts of public health, because it's not just all about how your body is and or the care that you get from your doctor. That's just one little tiny piece, because majority of our health, there's our genetics, there's our environment, and then there's our what we do, our personal choices that we make. You know, having a doctor and getting medical care is just a very small piece of of our overall health. So dancing every day, that's part of
Absolutely.
my health plan. Yeah, just to keep myself healthy.
Good.
Uh,
Lenny is saying she was part of a group during college years protesting in front of the Malacalang Palace, the
uh-huh.
White House in the Philippines. So she remembers going through the same thing and protesting for things to get better in the Philippines.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot of things. I For about 22 years I didn't go back to the Philippines. Yeah, and then I started going back again in 2007 when my brother and sister had health issues. And then since then, I've been going back fairly regularly, every 1 to 2 years. And in some ways, things have changed. There are a lot more call centers, there are a lot more big buildings, there are a lot of gigantic malls, there's a lot more affluence showing, but there's also a lot of the same things. There's a lot of poverty, there's a lot of people on the street, there's a lot of kids roaming the streets trying to sell stuff. There's still a lot when you go to the rural areas. There's a lot of there's just not enough. People aren't
Support.
making enough wages to live. You know,
Hmm.
and there's still a lot of the rich, and then some middle class, and a lot of poor people.
Just like
So
here in Brazil, it's the same thing.
yeah,
So, you said, did you get married before going into med
no,
school or
no, I
no?
actually met my ex-husband in medical school. Yeah,
Oh, so
yeah,
he was a doctor too, or
yeah. He
he
is a
became a
doctor.
doctor?
Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
um, we got married while we were in medical school, and then yeah,
Very nice.
yeah,
Okay, I want to know, how can you turn strength into opportunities and weakness into opportunities? How do you make those?
yeah. You know, I think I don't really consider faults, failures, weaknesses. I really consider them all as an opportunity to change, to improve. You know, the older you get, I think the more you realize that you don't know it all. It is important to continue to learn, and it is important to not let anger kind of get you. So somebody does something that you feel like is against you. I have gotten to the point now where it's like, okay, so what did I do? Because obviously they're reacting, whether or not my intent was to offend somebody, or to act meanly, that's how it was perceived. So it always starts with communication and then just talking. Sometimes it takes letting it go for a while so things calm down and then try again. And I try three strikes. I try. Sometimes people just don't want to hear. They don't want to continue, and yeah, that's okay. It's a choice that we all make, right? Uh, when whereas I really when there's people that I don't get along with very well, I just don't put myself in those situations. So, but I think it's important to communicate, and it's important to always learn, and it's important to be humble.
Absolutely.
I am not always right. I may think I'm right, but I'm not always right. And when I am corrected, and sometimes my pride gets too much, and I go, "Oh, I'm correct, not you." And then I'll research it. Oh, I'm wrong. And you know what? It takes a lot to admit I'm wrong. So let me learn from this and move on. Um, and you know, that has served me very well. Um, and it actually helps to make you easier to live with. It, it's everybody is, there's always the benefit of the doubt. Everybody is a little bit different. So I'm talking about people. I'm talking about people you work with, people that you're friends with, even your family members. You don't get to choose who are in your family. And sometimes there are some that you get along with better than others. That doesn't mean you don't love them. They just, they're the ones that you kind of gravitate towards. Yeah, but I
That's
love my.
right.
I have 3 kids.
I was going to
They're
ask you how
they're
many
all
kids you
they're
have.
all adults. My son's gonna be 32. He's the youngest. 34 and 36-year-old daughters. Yeah, so they live in Seattle, which is not far away, but I have not physically seen them since May. They stopped by outside in their lawn chairs for Mother's Day, and that was the last time that I physically saw them. So it's been tough. I mean, we Zoom call all the time. We see each other on the internet. Seems like that's everybody's life now. All our life is digested into little squares. But we can party, right? We did that
Absolutely.
yesterday.
Yes. How did the 2020 has impact in your life, the
Oh
pandemic
man.
because you are from the health department. Could you foreseen those things? Could you imagine that this would ever happen? Because we had fevers in the past, we had
Yeah.
viruses in
Well,
the past.
the pandemic is something that, as public health professionals, we had always been preparing for it. We knew that there was a 1918 pandemic. We had a small pandemic in 2009. A lot of my 35-year career in public health was working on emergency preparedness for a pandemic. So we knew at some point. So people say, "Oh, I could predicted this." Well, I could say I predicted it. I mean, the reality is diseases appear out of nowhere, and this is part of the scary part, but also the fascinating part of public health because it's really Mother Nature. It's not anything that we intentionally do. It's just the way organisms, animals, viruses, bacteria, all of these germs, that's how they evolve. Um, and they change. They are fighting for survival. So the reality, though, when you look at a virus that kills a lot of people, that virus is not very smart, right? Because you want to infect a lot of people so you can spread, but you don't really want to kill them because then once you kill them, you're going nowhere. Um, so I'm attributing brains to a virus, and that's kind of nuts. But the reality is, over time, viruses always change to make it so that they um, adapt better, so that they can spread themselves, use your body to make more of the virus, and spread it without killing you, because that is just a more effective way to do that. So I'm hoping that you know that's what is going to eventually happen with this virus. And the reality is that vaccines are a way to help that, um, so that we can prevent more deaths. But the true way for this to change is for the virus to kind of evolve. When you think of SARS in 2003, it came on, it killed people. It made them very sick and they killed them. So they don't have a chance to spread it. And that virus disappeared. So hopefully, well, it's too late now. So this virus, we know it spreads, um, and it's not killing a lot of people, but it's making a lot of people quite sick. So a combination of us taking precautions to prevent our exposure, us being careful, us doing all the things that we need to do to keep it from spreading, the development of vaccines, getting that into your body, and then the changes of the virus itself. Uh, this is what is going to make it different in the future. I have no crystal ball. I don't know. I think 2020 was interesting in that when I retired in 2019, I thought, okay, I'm done. I've been doing this for 35 years. I get to go off quietly. And I come back and, oh my gosh, they need my help. So I went back and helped for a few months. And it is, to be honest, it's very fascinating work, but it's also thankless. It's very stressful, and I really admire my public health colleagues that have been at it for the last 9 to 10 months, 11 months now. Uh, some of them nonstop. Um, I think they're all suffering from post-traumatic stress. This is this is we have done a lot in public health over the years and dealt with outbreaks and epidemic of this and that. Lasted a few days, a few weeks, nothing like this. So, I mean, definitely 2020 is going to be remembered as the year, even though this virus appeared in 2019. 2020 was the year that it really impacted the whole world. Um, but just like I always say with public health is not the government doing things for you. Public health is us, all of us taking the initiative, taking the responsibility to help take care of each other. Because there's nothing that's going to get rid of this virus, nothing that's going to prevent it from spreading, that other people have to do for you. The primary responsibility is your own. You need to do it. You need to protect yourself. You need to protect each other. Do what you can. And then if the vaccine is offered, that is one more piece that you can add. But all of the other stuff, keeping your distance, avoiding crowds, wearing a face mask, washing your hands, these are all things that, staying home when you're sick. These are all things that we as individuals have to do to protect each other, because that's in the long run, that's all we have. And that's all we had in the beginning. So now we have added the vaccine, but that doesn't mean we have to stop doing all the other stuff, because the vaccine is only one little piece of that, of all the things that needs to happen. Vaccine is something that the government has helped and the manufacturers have helped to produce, to help protect us, but it is not the only thing. So all the other things we need to continue to do.
So do you think we're gonna have like a normal life is gonna eventually go back to normal, but we're gonna, for quite some time, we're gonna still be doing this as far as protecting ourselves, the wear of masks?
Well, I'm thinking that I'm going to be doing a lot of virtual classes for a long time. Um, I think that when the weather permits, meeting other people outdoors, we may be able to relax that a bit. when we have the majority of the people vaccinated, we may be able, and hopefully the vaccine will continue to work even when the virus changes, because that's the other thing that happens, like we do with the flu vaccine every year. The virus changes every year, so every year we have to get a new vaccine. It may end up being like that. The chance of this virus just disappearing, like the SARS virus did years ago, I don't think it will. So it's going to be around for a while. I think that hard to say, but I'm hopeful for a better 2021, and that we are able to do more, that the vaccine will be effective, that majority of us who can will take it, and then maybe, lives can get back to normal. It's not even about me, it's about businesses and people who are not able to get jobs. I understand the whole world is suffering, and we have to get back to some type of normalcy, whether that normal involves wearing a mask every time you have the sniffles, wearing a mask if you are immune compromised, and continuing to do that, which is what they do in Japan. So in your perrito is wanting
See,
your
see,
attention.
let me. I'm gonna go to another room because otherwise they're gonna. There's dogs here on the door, and they keep going crazy. So I might as well go over here where they are not,
Yeah.
and it's easier. Okay, so tell me, how did Zumba came to your life?
Zumba. Zumba, um, before I started taking Zumba classes, I did not think I could dance. I was never really much of a dancer or partier or anything. I had started exercising because, like I said, in 2007, my siblings started having health issues. So I started exercising, and one day I was exercising, and somebody came and taught a Zumba class at the gym. I watched them. Hey, that looks kind of like fun. And she encouraged me to try. So the next time I did, and I lasted about half an hour before I died. And then the next time she came back, she said, "Oh, come join us again." Okay, I'll try it again. So, and gradually I did it more, and I found that I'm a very good copier. I can mimic people. So I basically learned to move. Okay, let me put it this way. In my mind, I move just like the instructor. The reality is absolutely not, right? Because the reality is, yeah, you move like Diana. But in my mind, it's like, when you're watching J-Lo, ooh, and Shakira, ooh, yeah, I move just like them. But the reality is I don't. But I had a lot of fun doing it. And so that started me on my journey in Zumba. So for a number of years, I just attended Zumba classes regularly. And then one year, I wanted to do events, just free events as part of getting kids healthy. So this is like a combination of my work in public health, which was trying to get kids to be healthy and families, and then my love for Zumba. So organized Zumba out in public places for people to come and join as a good free activity for families. So I started that in 2011, and I found I had a hard time getting instructors to commit. So then I became an instructor. So then at least, at the very least, I've got me, right? And from that, this would have been our 10th year of doing what we call Zumba in the Park. And I have so many Zumba sisters, Carmen, Kazuko, Christy, Heather. I mean, all these people, there must be at least 15 Zumba instructors that regularly volunteer. And we do this free in the summer, every weekend, from June until September. We do events. It's all free. And we all take turns. We do 2 to 3 songs. And so Zumba introduced me to a way for getting more fit in a fun way, something that I enjoy. Introduced me to a lot of wonderful people that I love dearly. My hermanitas, they're all my sisters and brothers, very few brothers, but mostly women, but I love them dearly. It allowed me to share something I'm passionate about, which is active aging. So, for the last few years, as I thought about retirement, and I mean, I'm a pediatrician, right? So I deal with kids, but as I aged, my focus became on how can I keep older people active and engaged, and continuing to be their best health for as long as they can, and to be independent and active. So that's what I do now. Is my focus is on active aging. I still love kids, but I also love my older active adults. So I teach a balance class to keep people from falling. And then I teach Zumba Gold, mostly Zumba Gold, and trying to keep people active. And you know me, I'm kind of crazy.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, yeah. But you kind of, so are you. Because I think most Zumba instructors have crazy, a little bit of the entertainer, a little bit of the drama queen, a little bit of the outgoing. I think most of the it's hard to actually be a Zumba instructor when you're very, very shy. I mean, you can, if you're a great dancer, you can, but you're most effective even if you're not a great dancer, if you're just crazy.
That's true.
Because I am not, I may think like I dance like J-Lo and Shakira, but I do not. I'm not a great dancer, but I make my classes a lot of fun. We laugh a lot.
That's
Yeah.
good. Carmen is here. Kazuko is here.
Oh,
They're
yeah, my
all saying
sisters.
yes.
My sisters. They're my partners. We've been dancing together since 2009. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I just saw Josephine's question. Yes, my family is all in the Philippines. So the younger generation, there's some of them that are here. So I am uh, my my mom is in the Philippines. My 2 brothers and my sister are in the Philippines. And my younger brother's kids are all in Seattle. My older brother's one son is in Missouri, and my sister's one daughter is in Sweden. But that the rest of them. So this year in February, we went back to the Philippines. Almost everybody except for the one in Sweden and in Missouri. We went back to have a family reunion for the wedding of one of my nieces. So I'm glad we were able to do that. It was the end of February, just before the whole thing broke wide apart. But it was very scary, flying and hearing about all of that. Yeah.
Do you
Ah,
do
hola,
you hold?
Madeline. I love you too.
Oh, this is Madalena Ponte.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yeah. So,
So,
Madeline,
do you carry any other license for Zumba?
yes, yes. So Madeline did my B1 training. She did my aqua training. She did my toning training. And what else have I done with Madeline? And a lot of boosts. So I have Zumba Gold with that with a CES that is no longer working for Zumba. And then I've done the B3. So I have the kids license that I took with Richard Gormley, but I've never taught kids. We include kids in our events, and every once in a while we'll do special events for kids, but we never really taught a kid class. I have taught Aqua Zumba off and on. I did my initial training with Madeline and did the training again this year with Guillermo. So did my aqua training twice. So I've done my R3 and my R2 and pro skills. I did my pro skills with Prince Paltu Ob.
Wow.
Yeah, that's so fun. But I mostly teach. So I right now I'm teaching 7 classes a week. Uh, 3 of them, 4 of them are Zumba Gold, and 3 are seated Zumba Gold. One of the seated Zumba Gold is with toning. So I do gold toning. And I was teaching live classes aqua before the pandemic. So that's kids is the only license that I haven't really used. But it's also hard to teach aqua online
Very hard.
unless people are laying in their bathtubs.
Like it's meant to do sometimes.
Yeah, but I I think it's I use a lot of the same songs that I used to do with Aqua Zumba in my seated Zumba class. So my Zumba Gold classes, you've taken some of them. They're pretty energetic. So people can do it if they don't move a lot, but some that want to move a lot can. They actually get my seated class has a little elements of Centao in it, even though I'm not licensed in Centao. But I've taken Centao and I loved it. It's one of those things that I was hoping to get in at convention. Yeah. But I thought about doing strong training for like a millisecond, but I don't think I would ever really teach it. So, and because my focus is on active aging, I want to continue to add elements into my Zumba Gold classes, because Zumba Gold is for everyone. It's not
Hmm.
just for old people. But you can make things interesting for people at any age. And when you add the Zumba toning to it, I think that adds another dimension that really helps. Um,
Hiba is asking if you were introduced to Zumba in your 30s, do you think you would have started your Zumba journey back then?
uh, Probably not, because in my 30s I was pretty focused on my public health career and my raising my children. I'm very, very proud of my children. I really love the fact that they're very responsible young adults, contribute to the community, um, and they're my biggest accomplishments. So equal time, 35 years, 36 years with kids, 35 years on public health. I was juggling two things. I don't think I would have. I may have taken classes to keep myself healthier, but honestly, I was a couch potato until
Really?
2007. Really. I mean, and that's why when my brother had a heart attack, I looked at myself in the mirror and said, "Hey, girl, you better get." I mean, he was younger than me, so I said, "You better get working." And so my turnaround was in 2007, and I didn't find Zumba until 2009. But then I never looked back. Zumba is just such a fun way, at least for me, listening to music and dancing like nobody's watching. I mean, it really is, it's a lot of fun. And yeah, and I am going to continue to teach and Zumba so long as I'm alive.
And that's
Uh,
what was going to ask you.
yeah,
What do you see yourself doing in 5 years and then in 20 years?
dancing. Yeah. I mean, I continue. I I do a lot of work with the community. Um, I like to give back to the community that I've lived in for many, many years, and so I'm going to continue to encourage people to stay active as long as I can. I do want to do a special hula dance on my 100th birthday.
I want to be there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're all younger than me. You should be there. Yeah. That's quite a ways away yet. But I'm hoping that I continue to stay healthy and I listen to my body. Just make sure that I don't abuse my body and just continue to try to stay healthy.
And how do you stay healthy? I mean, do you eat everything? Do you have anything that, like nowadays, people are like vegetarians, vegans, no gluten, no lactose? You eat everything?
Well, I am lactose intolerant and I have allergies to shellfish. But anything else, I don't eat a lot of bread because it's not something I'm used to. So I'm more into rice, which is what I was grown up in. But I eat pretty much anything. Um, uh, I try to stay away from, limit my intake of sweets.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, I'll eat cake and ice cream anytime. Anytime there's a party.
So if
Yes, and,
you,
and Carmen just reminded me, we went to
oh,
Mexico last
taco.
December, and I am now a taco lover. Anything can become a taco. So I just love that.
So if you have to give an advice for people, what would you say?
So my motto is live life, laugh often, and dance between the raindrops. Okay? So that means that even if it's raining, even if the world seems like it's falling apart, uh, just live, love, laugh, and dance. I think
Very
it's
nice.
important because it just makes you look forward to the next day.
Absolutely. So, Diane, thank you so much for accepting my invitation. I knew
Thank
it
you.
was going to be perfect, and you had a lot of inspiration to give it to us, especially because you continue doing it and dancing and showing people that it doesn't matter how old you are, that dancing is for everybody. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and Feliz Año Nuevo if I don't see you until next time.
Oh, I'm sure you're gonna see you,
I'll see you.
definitely. Thank you. Happy New Year. We love you. Thank you so much. And this interview, guys, is gonna be recorded here. So anytime if you want to share with your friends, please do it so. And next Sunday, it's gonna be Megan. Megan is gonna be here from California, talking all about her life and her challenges with brain injury. Thank you so much, Diana. We love you.
Bye
We
bye.
see you then. Bye bye.